Hello everyone and welcome back to Obas Trading Gist, where we bring you the hottest and the most talked about stories in Nigeria. Today, we are diving deep into a political firestorm that is reopening one of the most significant chapters in Nigeria's history, the June 12, 1993 election. Now, you know how they say history is written by the victors. Well, sometimes it is rewritten by those who want to change the narrative. Recently, former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido made some comments about the June 12 struggle, but the presidency, through the Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, has come out with a blistering response. And this is not just a simple disagreement, guys. This is serious. Alake is accusing Lamido of not just being wrong, but of deliberately trying to rewrite the history to cover up what he called a pernicious role in trading off the sacred mandate given to the late MKO Abiola. For those who may not know, June 12 is the bedrock of Nigeria's current democracy. It was an election widely believed to have been won by Chief MKO Abiola, which was then annulled by the military. What followed was a nationwide struggle that cost people their lives. Dele Alake, who was a key journalist and activist at the time, claimed to be an eyewitness to the event. He's about to give us a first-hand account of what he says really happened, and he puts President Bola Tinubu right at the center of the fight for democracy. Let's listen to exactly what he said. So sit back and take a watch.
Well, again, that was
a false claim.
Not only false. I said it's hagiography and an attempt at revisionism, and an attempt to cover his own pernicious role in supporting and trading off that critical sacred mandate given to MKO. And I will explain to you. Immediately after the announcement, in fact, don't forget that the first thing that shocked the whole nation was the suspension of results announcement on June the 16th. The election was June 12th. Results started dropping in, and everybody knew MKO was coasting home to victory. On that June 16, myself and Tunji Bello is still alive. We were with MKO in his sitting room in Ikeja, and we were reviewing events. In fact, we were asking him because we still owed some advertisers some money. So he now asked me to go and bring the bill for him to settle. And I remember his words, I quote, he didn't want to get into the presidency with debt. So he wanted to clear. So I went, I didn't find the bills. By the time I got back, Nduka Irabo had released the statement, unsigned statement from the villa, suspending the continuation of the results. That was the first initial salvo against June 12. And on June 23rd, the final nail on the coffin was put in by the entire cancellation of that of the election. And then, of course, we plunged into the struggle. Now, Tinubu, immediately after the annulment was announced, of course, threw his hat into the ring. Don't also forget that the late Yaradua's mother or father or somebody died in Katsina. MKO, we were with him in his sitting room in Lagos. He was making arrangements to fly to Katsina to go and sympathize with. It was this same Tinubu that he was liaising with. And Luakerele is alive. If he's watching, he knows to get air clearance for his aircraft to land in Katsina. At the same time, Babangida was flying to Katsina to also sympathize. So the airspace was restricted for any other aircraft. So by the time MKO came, sympathized with Yaradua, the announcement had been made for the total cancellation. It was this same Tinubu that MKO called. Immediately he landed in Lagos to start the preparations for the onslaught against that unjustifiable announcement. So Tinubu was from the get-go deeply involved in the struggle to actualize this mandate, and he went on it. Where was Sule Lamido?
So how come?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
When the initial wave of protests against the annulment. Where was Lamido? I can tell you authoritatively, because I was part and parcel of the protest, the planning and execution. Tinubu was one of the funders and one of the organizers, one of the planners of all the protests, July 23, 24, 25 of 1993 against the annulment. This was well before Abacha. Abacha did not come until November 17th, 1993. And how Abacha also came was not behind us. We knew, and now you see the photo that's making the round when MKO went to see Abacha upon Abacha's assumption of office. You see that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in that picture. MKO, Tinubu, and Abacha. Asiwaju was the one that escorted MKO to go and see Abacha to negotiate how Abacha will relinquish office and hand over back to MKO. How Tinubu came to accompany MKO was something that had been crafted the night before, and I was there. I'm a living witness. Where was Sule Lamido now when Tinubu was doing all of this?
Wow, he really messed some exposures there. So Dele Alake did not hold back one bit. Let's break down the bombshell he just dropped. First, he calls Lamido's story a complete revisionism of history. He says Lamido is trying to hide his own actions during that period. That is a very heavy accusation. Secondly, and this is crucial, he positioned himself as a direct eyewitness. He keeps saying, I was there. This isn't second-hand information. He is claiming to have seen it unfold. Thirdly, he gives a powerful defense of President Tinubu's role. He said Tinubu was deeply involved from the get-go and wasn't just a bystander. He specifically called him one of the funders, planners, and organizers of the major protests held on July 23rd, 24th, and 25th in 1993, right after the annulment. This takes the conversation from political to talk to a direct historical testimony. It's no longer just a he said. It's an eyewitness account challenging another participant's narrative. So the question for you guys is, who do you believe? This isn't just about digging up the past. It's about understanding the foundation and the character of the people who are still leading our country today. What do you think about this explosive revelation? Is Dele Alake setting the record straight, or is this just more politics? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I really want to hear what you have to say on this one. Don't forget to like this video, share it so others can get the gist. And most importantly, you know I like this part. Subscribe to Oba's Trending Gist for more deep dive into the stories that matters. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.